Now in today's video, I'm going to show you how to build this page here where we build this Power App button here. And all we have to do is we go over here and we select what we want to output to a PDF or Microsoft Word document. And we hit the Power App button and it'll run the flow that we created for doing multi-selects. Since Microsoft hasn't created a trigger that allows for multiple selections to then do the Power Automate, all right, the only trigger option you have right now is a single select. This is really one of the best approaches for handling this scenario where you need to apply an automation to multiple items that are selected from a SharePoint list. So we're going to cover that in today's video. Now, don't forget, if you like this kind of content or if this is something you're finding helpful, don't forget to hit that subscribe and like button to help get this content out to other people. It really does help the YouTube algorithm try to figure out where this goes. Plus, I'm trying to get this channel monetized, so I'm trying to get to that 1,000 subscriber threshold so that we can monetize this channel and actually fund some of the things that I'm doing on this channel. All right, let's go ahead and jump right in. Now for this setup, we've already got our SharePoint list. And in this case, we've got our previous one displayed here. So this is a single select. So if we go ahead and select this and hit this button here, it would run the flow. What we're trying to do is use our batch approach. Now, the video for how I created this is going to be up at the right-hand corner. So if you want to check out the video for actually doing this process, you'll go ahead and check that video. We're going to use that flow as the basis for this content today. So if you need to refer to that, then check out that video to see how that flow is built. Now, if you've already got your SharePoint list, you've already got your flow, the next step is we need to duplicate the flow that we already created. So we're going to go to Power Automate and just duplicate the flow that we've already got and make some modifications to it to work with our Power App. Now, this is the flow that we created for multi-selects. We're just going to save this as a copy. And we'll just add Power App on the end of this. And we'll remove this here. And call it good. And then by default, they're always turned off. So we're going to go ahead and turn that on. And then we'll go ahead and edit this. And I like using the other version for doing this stuff. Let's go ahead and delete the trigger. And we're going to put the Power Apps version 2 as our trigger because we want it to connect with our Power App that we're going to create for the button. And we can just hit save. Now for this flow, we didn't actually use anything from the trigger. So that's why we shouldn't need to change anything else. And we didn't get any errors. So I think we're pretty good here. So that's the first step, is we just need to duplicate the flow that we have. And you can watch the video on how we create this if you need this specific flow on how to do document generation from this. Now the next step is we need to create our Power App for the buttons that we're going to use. So let's go ahead and head over to Power Apps. Now in Power Apps, we're just going to create an app, and we're just going to start with a blank canvas. And we'll do a responsive app. It doesn't really matter for this particular design. Now you might have some benefits if you're going to use this on a mobile phone where you use a responsive bit from the beginning, where it's all kind of set up and ready to go for that. But we're actually not going to do much of the responsiveness in this particular setup. So we're going to just delete this and delete this. And then we'll go to our settings here and we'll go ahead and turn on our modern controls here. And we'll hit close. That way we've got our button that we can add in here. And for this button, let's just go ahead and put it in the center. And then we'll go ahead and put a gap at the top. We'll go with 20. And then let's change our design a little bit. So we want our page to be a little bit different. So we'll go with a height of, let's say 100. And in this case, we'll leave this here. That way, if we ever wanted to come back to this, we'll already have it in there. And we'll just make it 100. And then we'll set this height to be the actual page that we've got in here. So now what we're doing is essentially, you could actually add a lot of different buttons in here, and then you could also change the width and the height and make it fit on your specific design. Or you could also make it responsive because we've got the responsive as the baseline here. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the formatting of this, but let's go ahead and change the name of this button to, let's say generate selected. We'll go with 150. I think that should be about enough. And there we go. And let's go ahead and change the name, I suppose. And this will be our SharePoint list buttons. And we'll hit close there. Now for our particular setup here, we have to change the theme. So let's go to our themes and then we'll add a theme and we'll go with OSP, Office Solutions Pro. And then I always set this to Arial. And then our hex is 07708 Bravo. That's wrong. It should be B8, I believe. There we go. That's the right color. There we go. So this is the theme of buttons on our portal. So if we have other buttons, we don't want it to be a different color than the other buttons that are on the portal. We want it to be consistent across. We want to make sure that we get the theme of our Power App to match the theme of our portal. All right, now we have to add our Power Automate. So let's go to Power Automate and add our flow that we created. There's our SharePoint multi-select. All right, let's go ahead and set that as the on select of our button. So SharePoint. And again, we don't need to pass any parameters, so we can just kind of close this out there. And let's go ahead and publish. So it'll save and publish here. So now when we click that button, it's going to run that flow for us. Now, when we set up our SharePoint site, we're going to need the link. So let's go look at the sharing option here, and we can copy this link for putting it inside of our SharePoint portal. So let's copy that. And let's head back to our SharePoint portal to create the site that we're going to put all this information on. So in our site contents, let's go to new, and we're going to create a new page. And let's go ahead and add a section at the top. This will just be a one column, and then we'll add a 1/3 left. And on this side, let's go ahead and add our Power App since we've got that link copied in here. So we'll put this in here, and we'll just go ahead and paste this in here. Perfect. So we've got our button there. And let's go ahead and add our list. So find our list in here. And that'll be our requested projects list. And let's go ahead and edit this. And we want to keep our command bar because we need to be able to edit in grid view, but we don't need to see all. Let's go ahead and apply. And let's close this off again. And it's not showing us our getting view yet. We'll give it a couple seconds to refresh. Let's go ahead and work on the up top here. And this we want to have text, and this is going to be our directions. So I'm just going to go ahead and put some directions in here. All right, that looks good for our directions. Let's go ahead and take a look at our web part here again. Doesn't look like this is going to work for right now. So let's go ahead and hit the publish option, and then we'll have to create a name for this page. We'll go ahead and call it the requested projects generate documents. Looks good for that, and hit publish again. And it looks pretty good. Now let's go ahead and edit this again and actually get this to change. There we go. And we're going to do our take action button. It's a little bit more consolidated view that we've got here, and let's republish. And let's allow. And there we go. Now we've got our page set up here. So we've got all the projects right here. So we can come through, hit edit in grid view and select as many as we want, or deselect. And then we can come over here and hit the button for generate selected. So let's go ahead and do that and see what happens. Now we didn't add a prompt. That's something we could go back in there and add a notification up here for when it's successful. That way the user knows that something happened. Or we could do some other kind of indicator of some sort. Now in SharePoint, there really isn't much of an indicator. We see this, and we did see something happen up here, so we can reasonably guess that everything worked. But we can go back to our main page and we can actually see the documents that were created. And there they are. And if we refresh again, we'll probably see the other one that was created. And there we go. Now we've got 3 of the 4 documents. And if we refresh again, we'll probably get the last document here. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time for these flows to run. And there we go. We've got all 4 of the documents that were created from the page that we just created. Now, creating this page was just that simple. And as we can see here, it completed the process and took the check out of the box for the batch. So hopefully you found this content helpful. Now, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. It really does help the channel grow and get the content out to other people. Let me know in the comments, is there a specific type of video that you'd like me to cover on this channel? I'm planning to do full Power App builds in the coming days here. So we're going to actually build entire Power Apps on here. And the reason why I like doing entire Power Apps on here, I can show you how to use the combo box or the list box or how to use some of those things. And I'll probably do some of that content, but it's really helpful to see how to build an entire Power App because I'm going to cover things inside of that build that I might not be able to cover in other ways. And if I did create a video for it, what would you title it? I mean, sometimes these things are very specific things you're trying to do inside of Power Apps that don't really have a good name for. So it's better to kind of do entire Power App build, and then you'll see all of the planning and all the different functions that make that app work, not just how do you set up the combo box or how do you set up the list box. It's going to cover everything. But those are some videos I've got planned, is to show you how to create the entire Power App experience, to include some things that you wouldn't normally see in YouTube content like this. But if you've got an idea on an app or some sort of content that I could cover on the channel, feel free to drop that in the comment and I'll take a look at building that. Until next time.